Is Star Citizen a scam, or is it coming out quite soon? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video, but I want to sort of answer the first part very quickly. The reality is, I don't think it's a scam. I think it's an over-ambitious project, but we'll talk more about that in the video. So let's go. So what are we talking about, and why are we asking this question? Well, there was a letter from the chairman which was talking about the future of Star Citizen, and there are some hints about when it will come out. Now, Star Citizen has been in the making for quite some time. I think it's maybe like 13 years at this point, and the amount of money it raised is honestly quite astronomical and pretty damn amazing. I think they only initially wanted $500,000. They have ended up making $671 million. That's just a truly mind-boggling, insane figure. And what we got recently was a letter from the chairman, which goes into some details about some of the more recent updates, which, if I'm honest with you, I don't really play this game. I am thinking about playing this game because, you know, it may actually come out. But this letter is initially talking about what has recently happened to the game and in the community. Fine, that's okay. What is interesting, at the end of 2023 in Q4, it was the best ever in terms of player logins and engagements. So interest at the end of last year, for some reason, went up. I think that's because they had Star Citizen Con. But you know, it just goes to show that people were thinking that this would be a very real project and a very real game. And indeed, you can actually play it right now, you know, it's not crazy. In fact, they had 1.1 million people play this game in 2023 in the Persistent universe. That's actually pretty damn crazy. Now, just briefly, I said at the start, this isn't a scam. I don't think it's a scam. Let's be clear. A scam for me is something where they're deliberately like defrauding somebody. They take the money, they don't plan on making a game. Here, they obviously are making something. You can go ahead and play it. What it was over ambitious, and what it probably is that they've been given too much funding, and they now have to sort of spend it and make it feel like it was worth that funding. Was there any intent to defraud people? Well, it doesn't seem that way. I mean, I'm aware of one of the opinions is that it's simply a storefront masquerading as a game because, you know, people can buy stuff, you can buy in-game currency. I think maybe you can buy in-game ships and that kind of stuff. And obviously the game isn't out, but they're obviously making something. They've made something already. But let's talk about when it's actually going to arrive. So one thing that they are doing is they are making effectively a single player game called Squadron 42, as well as the MMO Star Citizen. And it sounds like Squadron 42 might be coming out sooner than later. In a section where it says what a year it is shaping up to be, they start initially talking about how Squadron 42 has now been feature complete and it's moving to content complete, which basically means that they've got all of the basic features that the game is going to require. It's effectively done, but now they say that they're ensuring that the game has the necessary polish and it feels worthy of being that spiritual successor to Wing Commander, which, if I'm honest, I've never played, but they seem to be enamored by the fact that this is the spiritual successor to Wing Commander. As I said, Squadron 42 is the single player game. It's got some pretty crazy stuff in it. Like visually, there's a trailer for it and it absolutely looks stunning. And there's some very famous actors in it. You know, Gary Oldman, Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, Andy Serkis, and, you know, much, much more. Now, do I think Squadron 42 will actually release this year? I'd be a little bit dubious on that. Projects always seem to take longer than you expect, especially, you know, with Star Citizen, but it is what it is. One thing that is a completely irrelevant thing is that they're having their next Citizen Con and it's going to be in Manchester, England. You know, I might go, it's only down the road. And then they start talking about Star Citizen itself. And they're preparing a couple of interesting technologies. The one that is major is server meshing. Now, I am not a technological genius. I'm not really going to explain what this is because a very simple reason is I don't know. I think server meshing is basically having multiple servers that you can traverse between that are all interconnected. So in a traditional MMO, each server is its own thing and there's very little communication between one server and another. You might have cross-realm battlegrounds or something like that. But if we were to think of this in terms of like World of Warcraft, just because that's a very basic example, you could maybe consider where one zone would be one server And if you travel to another zone that is like adjacent to it, that would be a different server. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to scale in Star Citizen. I'm not even going to pretend to know. But the idea is that you would actually be able to see people and talk to people in the other servers. And that's what they refer to as server meshing. They also say that they're going to expand the universe into multiple star systems. So I'm guessing they're just adding more content there. They recently had a test that allowed traveling between 2 systems for the first time. And they also achieved 350 concurrent players in a single shard, which they say was some kind of record for them. Okay, I'm not going to explain it further than that because if I'm honest, I don't know. But what they do say, and I'm just going to read this, after many years of work towards a goal many thought was impossible, we are on the cusp of delivering one of the final pieces of technology that will enable a connected, shared universe that thousands of players can experience together at the same time. Now, one thing I just want to point out about that phrase is that they do say one of the final pieces of technology. So it's not like they add this and they're good to go. There's actually sort of, room to add other things. But I don't know if this is a trend with them. But it sort of sounds like they are hinting that the game is coming at some point in the foreseeable future, not in the never. Now, if I was some kind of betting man, I wouldn't anticipate this to be anytime soon. I think Squadron 42, they're implying that it could be this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's next year. And then for Star Citizen, if they're going to do Squadron 42 next year, Star Citizen could very easily be the year after that. And then lo and behold, we're in 2026. The Kickstarter was in 2012, so that's been around about 12 years right now. And I think the game was probably in development a little bit before that because you needed to show something. What's soon when your Kickstarter itself was around about 12 years ago? I don't think it's unreasonable to think there might be some delays or things that are unexpected that they haven't shown yet. In February this year, there were actually some layoffs at the team. I won't go into details. I think this was part of a relocation of some of the work. I don't really know too much, but I don't necessarily think that that's an awful sign. If you have a strong opinion on that, let me know in the comments. But ultimately, I don't think Star Citizen is a scam. Do I think you're going to get a game very soon? Probably not. If I was a betting man, I'd say Squadron 42 next year. And then at best, I'd say Star Citizen 2026. I'd absolutely love to be proven wrong. I sort of am a sci-fi guy at heart, and maybe it's about time I actually check this one out. Not sure though, because whenever you look on the internet, there are some very strong mixed feelings about this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below though. Big shout out to my Patreons. If you want to come and talk to me about this or anything, come and follow me over on Twitch. I'd absolutely love to see you there. For now, have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.